You are not that brand new agent that people have you labeled as. You are not that, messy middle producer. Hey guys, so Mike Tyson, who knew he'd be the one to drop the wisdom tonight? So good. I thought it was so meaningful that I just dropped everything. It's in the middle of one of these late night workouts again. And I just wanted to come and share it with you right away. So I'm listening to him, Mike Tyson, on the Joe Rogan podcast. Catching my breath. All right, so I'm listening to Mike Tyson on the Joe Rogan podcast. And so he's on the podcast and he says something to the effect of, no one knows who they are, right? No one knows who they are, because if you knew who you are, you'd be limited, because life is all about change and life is always changing. And so if you actually know who you are, and that's how he was saying it, he probably meant, if you know who you're ultimately going to be, if you already know the end of the story, then you're limited, because then you're not open to change, right? And if you're not changing with the times, if you're not available to change, then you're basically already dead. Your life's over. And so that just hit me. I thought that was extremely wise of old Mike, Iron Mike, just to say that, because isn't it true? So many people think they are what they are right now, but you're only simply on the journey to what you are. What you are will be determined much, much later, long time from now. So you are not that brand new agent that people have you labeled as. You are not that, messy middle producer. You are not that mega agent doing 100 or 500 homes. You might be the next, if you're one of those newer guys, you might be that next mega agent. That actually is who you are. And this is actually, and I'm realizing right now, even in just sharing this with you, I've been trying to tell people, no one's grandfathered into, actually, let me rephrase that. I've always shared with people, careful with who you're dealing with, because you might think you're in front of a brand new agent. But here's the thing, that person, I'll talk about myself here. I was me before I was the me you know today. I was me when people thought I was a guy that sold 6 homes a year. I was me when I was a guy that kind of was, just dicking off all day, doing nothing, and like trying to sort out the industry. But I was still me. I was on this spaceship, right? This journey to where I am today. And even what I am today isn't who I am. Who I am, maybe I'm a guy that's going to be leading, thousands of people in arenas. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm a guy that's going to end up on a remote island just doing yoga and farming. We are all on a journey somewhere. Point being, and what Mike Tyson shared on Joe Rogan's podcast tonight, is be careful with believing that you already know exactly who you are, because if you really do that, it's kind of like putting a limiter on it, right? He said, in his words, you're limited. And if you are done with growth, if you're done with the journey, if you're not open to change, Mike started talking about change. He said, changing with the times is difficult. Look at this year. Look at the people that changed with the times this year in business, and hell with business, in personal life. The people that had a great year this year, the people that made the most of it, the people that spent time outdoors at national parks, the people that, took the time to just soak in their children, versus the people who were not open to change, who didn't change with the times, who just complained their way through the year. So change is the only guaranteed thing. If you're not open to it, if you're not willing to experience it, and if you believe, hey, I know what I am and who I am, then conventional wisdom says you have to know who you are. And yes, there's a side to that is absolutely true, right? Being secure, being self-confident, having self-esteem, not being pressured into doing things that you don't want to do because the crowd's doing, all those things. Okay, those are all legitimate. That's all good. But new agent right now, you might be the next $100 million producer. $100 million producer, you might be the next guy dead broke, sleeping on the streets, homeless, right? We are all on a journey, and if you believe you already know the end of the story, you are limiting yourself. You are limiting yourself, and therefore you are basically dead. Because if you are not open to change, then you're not open to the most beautiful thing about being alive. Mike Tyson, thank you. That's on the Joe Rogan podcast. I was just listening to it during my workout. Go pick it up. I think he's been on it a couple times, so that was the latest one. And I hope, I'm still going to be thinking about this right now and just how it applies to me. and just never being complacent, never taking for granted what's in front of you, enjoying the journey though every single step of the way. This year's freaking awesome, right? This is the year that we got to pivot, that we got to figure out our business, that we had to communicate with our database different, and that we had to live differently so we could be happy. Because if the people that spent this year just praying that it would be a different year, that was a failing strategy, wasn't it? It was a failed strategy. The people that took this year in and made the most of it, there were actually some gifts. And of course, this is completely outside of any pain and suffering and any loss that people experienced. But I think you know exactly where my heart is in saying this and in sharing this. So I'm going to go ponder on it a little bit more as I wrap up my workout. I paused it just so I could share this with you. I didn't want the thought to escape me. And love to hear what you think about it.
Hey, let me know what you think about that. Leave a comment below. And if you want to grab a strategy call with me, just hit up strategycallwithdan.com.